get things started. Ready? Go!
Hello and welcome to Bounty in the Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounty in the Comics. And today I got a story about Jon Favreau touting Kathleen Kennedy and praising her work on The Mandalorian. Before we get to the meat of that story, I'd like to ask if you could please hit that subscribe button if you are not already subscribed. If you are already subscribed, please make sure you are still subscribed. YouTube likes to unsubscribe people for whatever reason. And hopefully by the end of this video, I'll have earned your like, and that you'll give us a like, and that you'll also share this video with your friends and family. So let's get to the meat of this story. As I said, The Mandalorian creator and executive producer Jon Favreau recently touted Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy and her work on The Mandalorian Season 2. Favreau's praise came during the recent release of the second episode of Disney Gallery The Mandalorian, titled Making of Season 2 Finale. Favreau opened the episode stating, quote, "I think there's an interplay with storytellers and the people you're telling the story to. You find that the emotions run very deep with Star Wars, and people's relationship, especially people who grew up with it from a young age, feel a lot of connection to it. I think the one consistent thing I'm feeling is that people care deeply that it's being handled correctly and that it's being handled respectfully. It meant so much to them, and they want to see it continue into the future and feel like it's all connected with consistency." Favreau then went on to praise Kennedy, saying, "And we're very lucky that between Lucasfilm and Kathy, the whole group that we have are incredibly supportive and encouraging." Later in the episode, Favreau would offer more praise for Kennedy, as well as provide details on her role for the Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian that saw the return of Luke Skywalker. While specifically talking about bringing back Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Favreau said, "Kathy Kennedy we brought in very early on this conversation, and Kathy, first and foremost, is a great producer, and producers figure out ways to make things happen that are creatively exciting to the storytellers. Not only does she understand how to create an environment where we can have all the tools that we need to explore and experiment and be creative, but also knows that also knows what it takes to incubate ideas and understands the significance of when you do it right, what that can represent." And that is what Favreau had to say about Kathleen Kennedy. Pretty high praise from Jon Favreau. And his comments echo what Disney CEO Bob Chapek had to say about Kennedy back in March. Chapek lavished praise on Kennedy during an appearance at a virtual conference hosted by Morgan Stanley. He described her as a stellar creative talent. He even went on to describe her as a genius. He said, "That's where Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy are at their best, managing that mythology so there are little pieces here and there that they dribble and they all connect. It's really amazing geniuses." He would even describe her as an absolute treasure. He said, "Well, just like Kevin and Kathy and Sean at the studio, Jimmy, Dana, Peter, and John are absolute treasures for us from a creative standpoint, driving this machine, but giving you the type of content that you saw at the investor conference." Not only did Chapek praise Kennedy during this virtual conference in March, but he also stood behind her during the Walt Disney Company's 2021 annual meeting of shareholders. In the Q&A portion of the meeting, he was asked by George from San Antonio, Texas, quote, "Are you guys looking at firing Kathleen Kennedy or asking her to resign and promote somebody like Filoni or Favreau, or both, to the co-counsel?" Chapek responded, "We've been absolutely thrilled that we can have the kind of creative talent in our company, the likes of Kathy Kennedy running Lucas. And we look forward to having Kathy directing the activities of the entire Lucasfilm organization for many years to come." Not only do Favreau's comments reinforce what Disney CEO Bob Chapek had to say about Kathleen Kennedy, but they lead one to believe that the recent rumor that Kennedy will see her contract renewed is true. That rumor came from scooper Mikey Sutton, who declared, quote, "Sources indicate there were never any discussions to fire Kathleen Kennedy, despite rampant online speculation and rumors." Sutton even cited one of his sources who told him, quote, "Kathleen Kennedy won't be Lucasfilm president at this point, only if she decides to retire. Disney strongly believes she will continue guiding Star Wars to greater heights." The source added, "She will have the power she's always had." So it looks to me like Kathleen Kennedy is staying on board with Lucasfilm. We're seeing praise from Bob Chapek back in March. He definitively said she was staying on with the company for the foreseeable future. We're seeing high praise from Jon Favreau on this most recent release of Making of Season 2 finale, part of their Disney Gallery The Mandalorian show. And while they might have high praise for her, I think the creative product that we saw in the sequel trilogy speaks for itself. I don't really think that she has the ability to incubate ideas, has what it takes to incubate ideas As Favreau said, the sequel trilogy was rife with absolutely garbage ideas. The entire first film was just a ripoff of A New Hope. The original film is pretty much just a remake with different skins on it. And then from there, they really waded into some just really horrible territory. The Rise of the Skywalker probably adapted some of the worst things from the comics, such as the Emperor cloning himself. I don't know. I just don't like that. I don't buy it. That's not the Star Wars that I love and that I remember. And Kathleen Kennedy has been in charge of that. So as much as Favreau and Chapek can praise her, I think it's bad news for Star Wars and bad news for Lucasfilm for the foreseeable future, as she remains head of Lucasfilm. That's my thoughts on the matter. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding into Comics.